Good morning, guys. Time to start the day, and as you can tell by the timestamp, it's already close to 10 o'clock. Now, my day doesn't start at 10 o'clock, and I guess most of you already know that, but just in case you didn't understand, I don't feel like shooting my face at 6:20 in the morning. Not a good look for you guys either to see that, and I'm not going to take the camera to the shower. You don't need to see me eat breakfast, dress my kids, and I've shown footage of me taking one of my kids to school. Actually, I showed both of the kids. I'm not going to shoot video on the bus every day either. So that part all happens before I start shooting and vlogging. But now it is time to start this day on djTLMtv. Let's go. Well, I'm waking up again right now. Did some work at home, and after that, I decided to take a power nap. I take those every once in a while. You might have heard me talk about not getting enough sleep in some of these episodes, and it happens, and I'm really working on my sleep. I know for a fact I need more sleep, and I have to try and set things up so that I will get enough sleep. But on occasions when I don't, I try to take one or two of these power naps, 20 minutes, and they do re-energize. Even though I have to wake up for a minute now, I'll start to feel way more alive again after that. But I have a question here that was sent to me through Twitter a month ago, I think, quite some time ago. And oh wow, way longer. Sorry about this. But it was still in my DMs, and I really wanted to talk about this, so I'm going to talk about it now. It is about racism, and this is something that affects a lot of you, and in one way or another, some will deal with it some of the time, some will deal with it all the time, and some of you are clueless about what goes on because it's not affecting you directly. But this is about racism and DJing, and yeah, I felt it was a good thing to talk about this. This is going to be anonymous because he doesn't want to get in trouble. I understand that. You have to do your work. So this is the scenario. Now, how do you deal with racism in the booth? I keep getting told don't play certain music so certain people won't come in. I've been told stop playing N-word music, nigga music. And even been told by a booking agent the only reason a certain club is giving me a chance is because they think I'm half white. And he's not, because he's Latino and fair-skinned. At what cost do you keep taking people's crap for good opportunities? How does one handle this? All right, now when it comes to that last question, that goes way beyond racism, because that could be anything. Someone could just be a jerk all the time or be very offensive. It doesn't even have to be just racism. But at what cost do you keep taking people's crap for good opportunities? This is a case of principles and morals. This will be different for each and every one of you. You have to find that point. If you feel someone is being disrespectful in a manner that's just not okay, you need to address that. And after you address that, you'll find out what happens. In some cases, if you address that disrespect, it might turn into something good. It might be an owner who's just not even aware of how disrespectful he is or she is, and it could work out. They could be like, oh, you're giving me an attitude, and they're not booking you anymore. That could happen. It could be that they actually respect your honesty, see your point, and try to change their ways, and you could have a working relationship. It could all be the case, but you have to decide if something is crossing the line. I think it's always a good thing to let people know your borders, you know, because it does happen in small circumstances or bigger situations. I mean, I've had people who I just recently met, and not now recently, but I met them a short while before they did something that was, in my opinion, something you do when you are close friends. So they started to act a little bit too familiar by making certain comments that you might make when you're with your closest friends, and you might have a little fun with each other. And someone I hardly knew felt we were at that point he could say certain things. And I had to just step in and let him know, like, hey, we are nowhere near that level, so you can't talk like that. It's nothing serious, but I feel that if it's bothering you, you should address it. Not just keep it with you. It might build up and become something it doesn't need to be. But when it comes to racism, again, principles and morals come into play. Some will say that they don't care if someone treats them like dirt or has an opinion that is way out there and totally goes against everything they believe in, but they will still do anything for that paycheck, so they'll continue to work with that person. I can't see myself doing that. Now, of course, you have to have a certain balance between personal and business, but there are definitely lines that shouldn't be crossed. I mean, if someone is obviously an all-out racist, that's going to be hard for me to work with a person like that. How can I justify that to myself? Not even speaking about other people of color. I don't have to justify that to them in the first place, but to myself. And I could not see myself doing that. Now, it all depends on the situation, how racist someone actually is, because when it comes to saying that first example, like they don't want you to play certain music so certain people won't come in. Yes, there is a level of racism involved with that, but it is also just ignorance. That's the best word, I think. Ignorance. People have a certain perception of what certain music will bring out, what type of people it will bring out, and stuff like that. A lot of times it's based on hearsay, or they just had some bad experiences in that club. And for that club, they know that a certain type of audience is bad for their business. And I've seen this happen. I've been in situations where you could tell, like, every time there was trouble, it was a certain demographic in that particular area, in that particular club. Now, in that case, how can I disagree with an owner who feels that he doesn't want them in the club anymore if they are the ones causing trouble every week? I can understand that thought process. Now, execution is a different thing. You cannot be a club owner and say, I will not have black people or whatever people in my club because they are trouble. That is just straight up racist, because you cannot do that. You cannot say that all people are like that. That's just not the case. But I understand where the thought process comes from. I understand why certain clubs in this city have certain guidelines that the people at the door follow. They will not have over a certain percentage of men in the club, because, and I've seen that happen too, if you have too many guys in there, there's just way too much testosterone, and if there are not enough girls for them to work with, things can go wrong as well. Seen that happen plenty of times. So I can understand how clubs would try to maintain a certain level. But if you know, like, for a fact that a guy is only giving you a chance because they think you're half white, yeah, there's definitely racism involved in that as well. That's for sure. I mean, the ethnicity of the DJ should not play any part in you getting a chance there or not. But it's always a delicate subject, because you do have a lot of people who like to scream racism whenever something happens that they don't agree with. And that's not always the case. But yeah, let's say that someone is racist and you know that they're racist. In my opinion, it would be really hard to just work for people like that. But, you know, you have to decide that for yourself. That's just where I'm coming from. And we could talk about this for hours, because there's many nuances to this as well. I mean, racism is wrong in general. That's just it. No discussion. And it's good to talk about it, because it's going to be really hard to get rid of racism altogether, because a lot of people are living in or with a certain degree of ignorance. And that comes from lack of information. If you don't know a lot about a certain type of people, that could be race, religion, sexual orientation, whatever. If you don't have a lot of information, and the information you are getting is negative or just false, it will imprint an an opinion in your mind. We see the same thing here with refugees. You have certain people screaming from the top of their lungs that all we're bringing into this country right now are potential terrorists and they're going to rape all our women. And people who don't have enough of their own information and only hear a headline like that, they're inclined to believe that, and that fear gets into them. So that might happen in the club situation as well. If you hear that in a certain club, certain people cause trouble, you might start to think that that could happen in your community as well, when that certainly doesn't have to be the case. But we could get way deeper into this, and I don't think this vlog is the right moment to do that. So I hope this at least clears up my standpoint on this. It's about principles and morals, and I always try to also see things from someone else's perspective, because you have to understand we don't all think the same. Our thought process is not all the same. So you might feel that something is totally logical and should be a certain way, and you feel that everyone should, of course, see it that way. That's just not the way the world works. People feel and see things in a different manner, which makes their thought process different, and they can have a totally different opinion, which in their mind is the right opinion as well. Man, I think this was way too deep for someone who just woke up, but I think I'll leave it at that for now. But this could be a cool discussion, but I have to say straight up, I enjoy the vibe in my comments section. And if you guys are mature enough to have a good conversation about racism, I'm all for it. As soon as I see anything that steps over the line and it becomes something else than a good discussion, I'm shutting it down. I'm saying that right now. I love y'all in the comment section. You guys create a great vibe, and I want to keep it that way. All right. Man, more work to do. I gotta get busy right now, because in a couple of hours I have to be out of school again. That's what it is.